My name is Clive Davies, based in the United Kingdom, and I work as an international consultant, researcher, and educator on urban forestry and green infrastructure. Thinking about the challenges faced by urban forests, these can be divided into local and global issues. The global issues include the challenges posed by climate change, urban development pressures in growing cities, and the spread of pests and diseases because of the global trade in wood and wood-based products. The challenges of climate change have been well illustrated by landmark events, notably illustrated by forest fires and an increase in storms. These landmark events are, however, only the most prominent impact of global warming. Trees and associated vegetation are very sensitive to even modest changes in climate and respond in ways that can weaken, damage, and will eventually kill the tree. Take, for example, prolonged periods of drought, which over successive years can have a devastating impact, as can be seen, for example, in Central Europe. If urban trees have been placed under stress by climate change, then they are even more vulnerable to pests and diseases. Since the late 20th century, there's been a huge expansion in the global trade of timber and wood products. A lack of biosecurity and the increase in global temperature has led to a dramatic rise in tree mortality from pests and diseases that have been freed up from their natural constraints. An additional stressor for urban trees is their living conditions in cities. As the planet becomes more urban, so does the demand for building space. The relationship between trees and buildings can create substantial challenges for the trees. The canyon effect between large buildings, disruption of nutrient flows and water availability, and the creation of hard standing areas where previously there were none are amongst the notable impacts. The cumulative impacts are very significant. Signs of stress leads to premature death and loss of ecosystem services provided by mature trees, and for deciduous trees an early fall of leaves, and crucially, trees that are stunted and never able to reach their full potential. These stresses not only impact trees in high density settings, but also those grouped together in parks and forests. Local issues are clearly specific to any given locality. Having a good understanding of local issues is essential for a healthy urban forest. Unfortunately, poor planning practice and weak development control are not infrequent. The funding of urban forestry is also prone to fluctuation and is often one of the services that is cut during periods of economic downturn. The understanding of the needs of trees in urban forests is also sadly lacking in many urban professionals, revealing the need for better training and education. The challenges are many, but many can be ameliorated. Managing the living conditions of existing and future urban forests is essential, and that involves good site preparation and management of soils. Trees can be given a more significant presence in the planning system and legal frameworks in many countries to protect them from inappropriate development pressure. Finally, having a realistic urban forest management plan is an essential. This should clearly identify locally approved objectives, identify the funding and management needs, address each and every challenge that any individual tree might experience during its lifetime, and specify how adaptive management will be practiced in the future.